The city of David. Yes, the temple was in the city of David, and we're going to show you proof and evidence through the scriptures and through archaeological discoveries in the area to show that this is very clear. We're confident of this. Okay, as we look here to the right, we see an excavation site called the Givati parking lot. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Josephus, and we're going to talk about the Ophel, the Gihon Spring, and the Nathanmelech seal.
Okay, here we have the City of David Museum right there. And then right below that is this Givati parking lot. Okay, right, again, in this area is a place called the Parbar Gate. And in 1 Chronicles, I believe, chapter 26, it says these gates are west of the temple. So what we're looking at is the offices and facilities and gates that were west of the temple. So where's the temple? It's in this direction here to our east. But this is a major archaeological discovery of the seal of Nathanmelech. Okay, and you can see the layers that have been dug to get down to the bottom of where this area is. Because when Jerusalem was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, there's charred remains of wood and everything there. And that we have the evidence of. Now, as you notice, there's another layer built on top, and another layer built on top, and another layer. You can see all these layers to the present wall, okay, of the old city. This is an old city wall, Suleiman 1535, okay? So this gives you an idea of how low the temple would have been in proportion to modern Jerusalem. It's going to be very far down below everything we're looking at. But all around, there's people living, and there's a museum and lots of things, very busy area. You can see we're here in 2 Kings 23, verse 9. And in verse 11, we find the owner of the seal. And he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the son. Okay, we know this is Solomon's stables. At the entering of the... Now, pay attention. At the entering in at the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathanmelech. Okay, so we have a chamber by the house of the Lord. Okay, Nathanmelech, the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs. Watch this. This word suburbs, okay, is in the Hebrew parvar. And see how it says at the entering in at the house of the Lord. Okay. The chamber of Nathanmelech, which is in the parvar, it's a structure or building attached to the west side of Solomon's temple. Let me say that again. It's right there. It says it, a chamber of Nathanmelech, the chamberlain. Okay, this is part of a structure or building attached to the west side of Solomon's temple. We actually just found the west location of the temple. Now, what we can do, now let's find where this is used. See, search for, now we're searching for the examples of Strong's Concordance 6503 used in the Bible. This is the first example. The next we see, the only other place this is in the Bible is 1 Chronicles 26, verse 18. Let's go there. When we go here, we can see 1 Chronicles 26. These are the porters around the temple in each position. Then it says, at Parbar, westward, 4 at the causeway, 2 at Parbar. These are the porters that are around the temple. North, south, east, and west. In the west, Parvar is actually where we found the Givati parking lot excavation.
Here is what the seal looks like that they discovered in the chamber of the western part of the house of the Lord, the Parbar Gate. Okay, now we are facing the southern wall, what they call the Temple Mount, but we believe to be Fortress Antonia, and the windows here are Solomon's stables. This is very important. I hope you get this. Remember before we had seen Nathanmelech's seal at the Parbar, or western gates. Now, before you, those trees is an area called the Ophel, and this is where we found the Nathanmelech seal. Down below, there used to be a parking lot there, but down below, we had the chambers of the entering in of the house of the Lord. And this is exactly what we're reading verbatim in 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 11. And he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun at the entering in of the house of the Lord. Okay, by the chamber of Nathanmelech. So you're looking at the chamber of Nathanmelech, and you're looking at Solomon's stables there, with the windows in the southern portion of Fortress Antonia. And he burned the chariots of the sun with fire. So this is Josiah, and Josiah is removing all the idolatry in Jerusalem, and one of his officers is Nathanmelech, who is west in the temple. Okay, but hopefully you can understand that the modern day place they call Solomon's Stables is in fact the horse gate. Nehemiah described this, and here we are on top of the Fortress Antonia, which they call the Temple Mount, and these are the gates and the entry from the top going down into a huge area. Those doors are about 20-25 feet high, into what they call Solomon's Stables. So this is the horse gate. This is east, okay, and this is where Josiah removed the horses that they had given to the sun. And we know that from Nehemiah, this is east. And now what you're looking at is the east wall. And as we just take a step up and we turn, okay, we can look back at Solomon's Stable, and we can also see in the distance the Dome of the Rock. Okay, so the Dome of the Rock, of course, is, on top of this is a Roman fortress. Okay, now we're going to follow Josephus and what he describes as a couple walls. One of them goes from Tower Hippicus over to the west. And then there's another one from Tower Hippicus that heads to the south. We're going to walk through the old city of Jerusalem at this time, and we're going to find this Essenes gate. That's what you're looking at now in the photograph. And we're going to stop by these places that he described. Now, people consider this to be the Hippicus Tower, which it very well may be. It does have Herodian stones and period correct architecture time of the Herod. So what it says on this, on facing west, it began at the Tower Hippicus and extended south. So now we're walking south to a place called Bethso. So we're not sure exactly where that is, but we're starting with the tower, we're heading south, and we're going to the gate of Essenes. Now this is very important for us because Josephus is describing this wall. This wall would be to our right side. We're walking south, and we're following this path. Now we're doing this path because it's eventually going to lead us to the western colonnade of the temple. That's clearly what he says in his writings. So what we're doing is we're in the Armenian section of the old city of Jerusalem, and on our right would have been the ancient Herod's palace. And we're continuing. You see there's a lot of tourists and a lot of activity. But as we continue, we're going to turn slightly to our right, and we're going to see the Praetorium. This was the place right there where Jesus Christ was interrogated by Pontius Pilate. And so still this wall is continuing, and to our right was Herod's palace, which it continues. Now we're on the other side of the wall, that's Mount Zion, and we're in this open area of the Greek Orthodox. And now what we're doing is we're walking towards where the wall or where the road would have led us to the Essenes gate. Now where we were is, this is the area called Herod's palace. And up here we were looking at the gate, Hippicus gate, and we were walking down through the road. You can see the cars here. It continues down, and then it comes to a place called the Essenes gate. And where that is, we're going to show you, but it's essentially in this area right here. We do have the remnants of the Essenes gate that Josephus described. So we've gone from Hippicus Tower, or one of the towers there. This whole area here is Herod's palace, coming down the road, and then in this area we have the excavation, which we'll look at. Before you is the Essenes gate. Wow, this is amazing.
This is a site that's part of the Protestant cemetery, and we have a drainage channel and all the descriptions of a Roman road at that period. You can see the wearing of the stone of the ancient gate, and we do know this to be the gate of Essenes that Josephus described. He said there was a community in Jerusalem of about 50 people that were part of the Qumran community. So they were that sect of Judaism. And here is the area where they have similar architectural things in the area here that we find out in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So before there was the gate, and then as it passes along, it continues to this road. Now we're pointing this out because Josephus says that this gate is where the wall was, and from here it would head towards something called Solomon's Pool. We don't exactly know where that is, okay? But then, but before that, before Solomon's Pool, it goes to the Pool of Siloam, which we do in fact know. And we'll take a look at that briefly. But as we look here and we zoom in, you see there to our right is the road. Okay, meeting all the descriptions of the Roman road of this time period of Herod's temple. And the drainage channel is also visible from other sections here. So this is the gate of Essenes. It's in a place called Mount Zion. And what we'll do is then continue and follow this path to the Pool of Siloam. Okay, so see here the citadel? All right, one of these is the tower, and this is the road. We walk down the road, okay, and then we came to this area, and it was here in the this area here where we saw the Essene gate. It's not marked here, but then it comes to Solomon's Pool, which we are uncertain of. And then it comes to the Pool of Shiloh, which you see right there. So now that is the bottom of the city of David. Then it says the Ophel. Okay, so the Ophel is this area. It says Ophel Archaeological Garden here, but it actually includes this entire area. Okay. Now let's also make note of Solomon's Stables. That's in the modern, southern, and eastern corner of Fortress Antonia. Okay, so what have we done? We've started here. We've walked down the road. We've come to the Essene gate. From the Essene gate, we've gone to the Pool of Siloam. Pool of Siloam, we've then come to the Ophel, which connects to the eastern part of the temple. Okay, so that's this area here. This city of David marker there, that is David's palace. Okay, Pool of Siloam. And what we can see here is this is the pool. It was dug, it was discovered. You can see the steps going down. And this is Second Temple period. Okay. And let's look at this. This is the famous story when the man went into the water. Okay. But they have here Pool of Siloam in Hezekiah's time. Okay, so it looked something like this with steps going down and a large pool. Okay, we are here in the most exciting place, the Ophel. You can see the ruins behind me, the road, and where we are is right next to the southern portion, okay, of the Roman fortress. And we have some of the most startling discoveries here in a place called the Ophel. Okay, there's lots of, truth and evidence and things that we find going back to the first temple. Okay, now we're looking down below at the area called the Ophel, and this is significant to us. because it's part of the east, connects to the east gate of the temple. So we followed Josephus' route. We went around the southern wall of the old city of Jerusalem, and we've ended up here. Now in this road that you see before you, just on the other side is where the temple would have been. But there are many discoveries here, but it's called the east gate of the Ophel, Nehemiah 3:26. No more of the Nethinims dwelt in the Ophel, in the place over against the water gate towards the east, even unto the wall of the Ophel. So Josephus describes building up, Solomon built up a high east wall, and that would have been a precipice down below.
Now I believe it is in this area where the Bulla of Isaiah and Hezekiah were discovered. In this area here, right next to the road. And right next to the jar pots. And here we have it stating a meeting place for 3 fortification elements from the first temple. Its plan is characteristic of First Temple period and similar places in Megiddo, Beersheba, Ashdod. Okay, so very similar. And Alat-Mazar suggests identifying the gate here as the water gate and the temple servants living in the Ophel. This is the Nethinim. In the Ophel, repaired to the point opposite the water gate to the east. East is this way. Okay, so what we have here is a large tower, potentially the water gate, but it's this area, the Ophel, where the Nethinim lived. Okay, so east from this tower is in this direction, and that's the southeast corner of the Roman fortress.
God also calling me to restore the David fallen tabernacle here.
Okay.
And welcome Jesus coming back. Like him be king to sit on his throne.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Also, maybe here.
Okay.
For Jews, they will be here. But actually, it should be here.
Okay.
That is his dwelling place.
That's his dwelling place.
Really
Okay.
dwelling.
By Gihon.
Yeah.
Gihon and in this area. Okay.
Because I
Okay.
saw the reason about the Gihon's room
Yeah.
for
Gihon's.
Chariots.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, down by the Kidron Valley, we're going to the Gihon Spring. Now, where is that? Outside? As the valley drops, we can see some trees here, a building here, and approximately where this palm tree down below is the Gihon Spring. Approximately. That's where the Gihon Spring is, in proximity to the Kidron Valley, and of course the city of David is behind us here. Okay, here we are at the source of what some consider to be the source of the Gihon Spring. If so, this would have been possibly where Solomon was anointed at the Gihon Spring. We'll see, of course, right here we don't have water. We'll see the water shortly. But the significance of this is multifaceted. We have Solomon being anointed king. If we look at the sign, we could see the verse here in 1 Kings, where Zadok the priest anointed him king over Israel. In this very spot, there found remains of many more bulla and many other things in the place that had filled with earth from temple structures and homes above. Okay, here's the source of the Gihon Spring, and we're going into the tunnel. Okay, we are at the end of the Gihon Spring, and as we exit, we have a very, very important Paleo-Hebrew inscription. You are standing at the place where the Silo inscription, written approximately 27 years ago during the reign of King Hezekiah, was discovered. And here in this, this is a replica, it's not the original,
But we have in Paleo-Hebrew Hezekiah describing this Gihon spring in this tunnel. So we've walked through the tunnel, and as we leave, we exit out to the Pool of Siloam. So we go up the stairs here, and when we go out, here we have the pool. And that's where we came from. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, what do we mean by a bulla? A bulla is a seal impression, and here is an example of one. This was enlarged, but typically it would be on a ring, but it was the size of a tip of your finger. This one says City of David on one side, and this is the seal impression of King Hezekiah. It's a copy, of course, but this is the seal impression that was found in the Ophel. We saw the Ophel is connected to the east of the temple. And we have the seal of Nathanmelech, and Nathanmelech is to the west of the temple. So there can be no confusing its location when we have physical signs in stone, okay? Hezekiah and also the seal and bulla of Nathanmelech would actually show us the west gate, Parbar, or Parbarim, okay? That's the west gates of the temple, as we've shown you, and the Ophel, which Josephus describes as the Ophlas, connected to the east of the temple. So these bulla seals impressions actually show us its location. Okay, here we have a seal. This is very significant, guys. This is called a bulla. See, at this spot, a bulla, an imprint in clay used to seal documents. So we have a bulla. This is a particular scribe. It's very small, the size of your fingertip, and it would seal a document.
Now here's our seal that says City of David, and we are in the house or palace of David. And it is in this area where many of these seals were found. Here's an example of some. The one here on our far right is Jeremiah. Here's a little bit of a zoom in on that one there. It's on the right. And this is the area where this was found, and we find him in Jeremiah chapter 36. When Baruch read the book in the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord in the chair of Jeremiah, the son of Shaphan the scribe, in the higher court at the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house. So this is a gate, a scribe gate by the new house. Verse 11. And the son of Jeremiah, the son of Shaphan, when he heard the book in the words of the Lord, he went and down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber. So the king's house is in close proximity to the temple. We find this in Nehemiah 2:8, when they give me timber and beams for the gates of the palace. Okay, and what we're looking at is the place considered to be the palace, the king's house. And it was next to or pertained to the temple. Okay, the palace which pertained to the house. So that's what's so important about these scrolls or these seals, is that they actually show us where that the palace was of the king, and the palace of the king was very close to the temple. So this other seal from Jeremiah shows us this. Now here what we're doing is we're looking at this area, okay, where the temple would have been. There is the Gavati parking lot with the trees,
it's the same as in America,
and
right?
there is the
Some believe, some
Ophel at
don't.
the base of the fortress Antonia.
Exactly, you see
Okay,
everything.
so some of you may ask, well,
So the bed.
Leland, what does the temple look like now? Well, you're looking at it right now. It's just somebody's house. There's fruit trees and just someone is living there. It's right between the City of David Museum and the Ophel. So guys, this is a playlist on where is the temple. This is the most information. I do encourage you to watch the other videos.